Hello, I'm Kate Freeman, and this is the Daily Dollop. On this episode of the Daily Dollop, I'm going to discuss being a knower and not a doer, why nutrition information is not enough to be healthy, and how you can start building healthy eating habits and take action today. Well, welcome back to today's episode of the Daily Dollop. My name is Kate Freeman. I'm a registered nutritionist and the founder of the Healthy Eating Hub. And fun fact about me is I like drinking lukewarm water, which my staff think is really weird. But I don't like it cold. I just want it just like murky warm. I like water that's murky warm. I don't know why, but there you go. I do half boil the kettle, like half boiled water, and then top it up with cold water. And that's how I like to drink my water. So moving on with today's show. This one is all about chatting about some mindsets that I see really, really frequently when I work with people with changing their eating habits. So not so much research today, but more just discussing the way that we approach healthy eating. And the Daily Dollop is all about changing the conversation about how we approach our nutrition. The diet industry has this whole idea that we approach our nutrition with this all or nothing mindset. Apparently, according to social media and influencers and different programs and testimonials and news stories that you see, that you're just supposed to wake up one morning and be a healthy eater. Because you were scrolling Instagram and there's this very, very pretty girl and she's got this cascading ponytail and six-pack abs and very plump lips, and she just woke up one day and she decided to be a clean eater. And she did sugar and she cut out alcohol and she doesn't eat any processed foods and she just has this really clean, beautiful, perfect life. And so can you. You just need to want it bad enough and try hard enough and away you go. The reality is that that person on Instagram is not real. And while there might be some people out there who do just wake up one morning and dramatically change their eating habits, for the majority of us, that's actually not possible. And in fact, there is research that suggests that making major dietary changes, so changing your whole diet, is actually as stressful as a major life event. So moving house, getting married, having a baby, changing jobs. Changing your diet takes as much mental energy and causes as much stress as all that other stuff, which is huge. And it makes sense, right? Because most people can't actually wake up one morning and change everything for good permanently. They might be able to do it for a week. They might be able to do it for 6 weeks. They might be able to do it for 12 weeks. But there's too much sacrifice. The changes are way too drastic that most people are hanging out for the diet to end. But unfortunately, even though we know that the restrictive eating patterns of a diet are unrealistic, we still keep coming back to them with this desire that they're the things that are going to help us eat healthy long term, which is simply not true. And in fact, with every diet that you do, the more difficult it becomes for you to stick to them. Also, with every diet that you do, the more confused that you become because you are constantly bombarded with all of this information, and with each different program or blog that you read or post that comes up in your Instagram feed, the information is contradictory or it's confusing, and you end up thinking, golly, I have no idea where to start or if what I'm doing is right. You're constantly second guessing your food choices. You're feeling stressed and anxious. You're always wondering, is this healthy? Is this not healthy? Should I be eating carbs? Am I eating enough protein? Are bananas okay? And it's like, what the heck? Why has healthy eating become so difficult? And I believe is that the diet industry and the way that we've sort of put these healthy lifestyles onto this pedestal has created a generation of knowers and not doers. And so what is a knower and not a doer? Well, after 12 years of helping people lose weight and change their eating habits, I have sort of created 5 key categories of people, which I call their diet personalities. You're either a knower, not a doer, a restriction binger, a fad diet addict, you're tired and over it, or you're not a dieter at all. And I would say the knower, not a doer is one of the most common ones. Now, a knower, not a doer is somebody who likes to do a lot of reading. They like to think that they're pretty well educated. They do some research on Google and the internet. They like to read blogs, read diet books, news articles. They're very interested in nutrition. And if you were to ask them, do you know what healthy eating is? They would most likely pretty confidently say, yes, I do. However, they're not putting it into practice. And mistakenly, these people think that all they need is just more motivation. That the reason that they are a knower and not a doer is because they're lazy, they can't be bothered, life's too busy, it's a bit stressful right now. When things settle down, I'll be able to do it, etc., etc. When in fact, that mindset is the key thing that is holding them back. So the truth is that healthy eating is a skill. It requires a series of small, daily habits, behaviors, and routines that come together that mean that the overarching end result is a diet that's high in nutrients and is the right amount of energy for you. And these skill sets required to achieve that are around cooking skills in the kitchen, shopping skills, being able to store produce and make it last, being able to flavor food and make it enjoyable. They're also organization skills, planning your meals in advance, knowing how to adapt and be flexible. But they're also awareness skills, understanding when you're feeling full and you need to stop eating, understanding when you're hungry and it's time to go look for some food. And then layered on top of those is then just general good nutrition knowledge. So knowing the main sources of proteins or carbohydrates, knowing how to pull together a balanced meal, and also having some awareness about the energy content of food and portion control. And as you can see, there's a bunch of different factors that go into influencing your decision about what you put on your plate. So if you would describe yourself as a knower, not a doer, someone who knows what healthy eating is, yet you just don't do it, rather than just thinking, I just need to try harder, as one of my colleagues says, is just pull your socks up and try harder. Rather than approaching your nutrition like that is to actually learn to be a critical thinker and a problem solver. And I have this little procrastination theory, and I actually often talk to my staff about it, particularly if I've given them a job that might be a little challenging. If I haven't heard back from them in a week or two about that task, meaning they haven't done it, I usually know that there's a few reasons why they've procrastinated. And there's a few reasons why you know what healthy eating is and you're not doing it. The first reason is that your expectations are too high. Too high. You know, when I was a young woman back in the day, I used to plan these extravagant healthy days. I would try and cram as many superfoods in, like kale for my lunch and chia seeds on my breakfast and 2 serves of fruit and 5 serves of veggies, and I'd plan no processed food, and I just put this epic day together. Now, if I analyze that nutritionally, it'd be probably pretty on point because I know what I'm doing nutritionally. However, what I was asking myself to do is buy too many ingredients, cook too many things, spend too much time in the kitchen in order to achieve what I thought was this perfect nutrition day, which meant that even though I knew all the elements of this so-called perfect day, do you know how often I actually pulled it off? Never. I could never get it perfect. My expectations were way too high. And back then when I really struggled with this all or nothing approach is I'd be like, well, if I can't get this perfect breakfast or my perfect dinner. I'm just going to eat whatever. We'll just grab some chips here or some pizza there and some chocolate there because what's the point? And so I would argue that the reason why you know what healthy eating is, but you're just not doing it, is because your expectations are too high. You need to lower the bar of entry. Why is it that you have to go from eating really, really poorly, or what you would just describe as a poor diet, right down here? Why do you have to go from here to here? Why can't you go from here to here? And isn't it better if you go from here to here and able to do that every day than try and jump from here all the way to high expectations and then think this is too hard and then you're not doing it anyway? Another reason why you might not be doing, although you know, is because you don't have the skills. Perhaps you lack some flavoring techniques and you're really stuck with some boring, bland meals that you consider healthy, but you're not really sure how to flavor your food and make it more enjoyable. Maybe you're asking too much of yourself because not only do you have to feed you, you've got some fussy toddlers or a fussy partner because they exist, or you've got a shift work style job or high demands because you're a carer. Sometimes we have to acknowledge the fact that there are other things going on in our lives that are taking our mental energy, and we simply don't have the resources to focus everything on our food. And that's okay. If you were to just make a few small changes, something that you can do, rather than setting the bar too high and thinking, oh, this is too hard, I'm not going to do it at all. The last thing is that you don't want to do it. I remember planning myself out this particular day when I'd read this book on, it was this anti-inflammation book years ago. I was really, really young, about 21 years old, and I tried to follow the diet in it. And it had this disgusting like bran porridge stuff. It tasted so bad, but it was like, this is anti-inflammatory and it's this amazing thing. And I would like force down this porridge, like gag on it. And deep down, I never stuck to it because I didn't want to eat it. Gross. But I'd be like, oh, I have to. If you don't want to do it, if you don't want to cut out chocolate for the rest of your life, if you don't want to stop drinking alcohol, if you don't want to stop socializing, if at your core you don't want to do the healthy things, you are not going to do them. So just acknowledge that to yourself. Once you figure out the reason why you're not doing, that's when you can start to work through the barrier and think, okay, can I make the barrier to entry with these healthy habits easier to overcome? And so the first step to doing that and being a critical thinker is to actually break down your day into separate parts. So rather than trying to change everything, you are just focusing on one small part of your diet at a time. That's what my program over at the Healthy Eating Hub does, is it breaks nutrition down into small achievable chunks. So you just learn a little bit, but then you're encouraged with lower expectations to put what you're learning into action. And the idea is that the action that you're taking, the habit that you're practicing, the task that you have to do is easy. Because that means an easy task you can do on a good day when you're feeling good, as well as a bad day when you're feeling stressed or tired or something goes wrong. It's those habits that become part of who you are that you still do regardless of what your day throws you. That's when you're going to be consistent. If you're only a healthy eater on days when you're not stressed, well, good luck with that, because I don't know about you, but stress visits me frequently. So what I want you to do moving into today is stop bringing these expectations that are so high and keeping you from doing nothing. Bring them lower. Do something small and see if you can repeat that habit daily. If you're interested to find out whether you truly are a knower, not a doer, head to the link in the show notes. We've got a quiz called the Diet Personality Quiz. It's just 12 questions, take you a couple of minutes to do, and you will find your diet personality, and it will give you some tips on where to get started, plus a 10% discount code for my program if you feel like that's the right fit for you. Otherwise, thank you for tuning into this episode of the Daily Dollop. Let's stop being knowers and not doers and start taking action. See you in the next episode.